Frank here again. Another exciting reading of Douglas Jerrod. See it? Ben Douglas Jerrod. Go to Douglas Jerrod and SamsonPWillings.com for more information on apprehending a copy of Douglas Jerrod. Where we left off is in the blue section. Blue-eyed. He wrote another letter to the future to change plans. Yeah, let's see how that worked out. In chapter 11. We are now in the green-eyed section again. Chapter 11, more of the mail. Dun dun dun. Alright. Douglas walked in the door after a hard day's work. Not physical, but mental work. The kind of work that it makes the back hurt from sitting in a hardwood chair. After he closed the door behind him, he looked around the living area for Carol. Hey, babe. Are you ready for Dad's birthday party? Yeah, just give me a few more seconds, Carol called out from upstairs while she put on her sleek black dress. After she slipped it on, she did a quick once-over in front of the full-size mirror. Being satisfied with how she looked, she quickly left the room and down the stairs. When she got to the bottom of the stairs in front of Douglas, she grabbed an old-looking letter off the end table. You look great, babe. Are you sure you want to go spend time with the old men and hear their old stories? If it were any other time, I would go straight back to the room with you and have you slip me back out of this number. But it's your dad's birthday, and we're the only family he's got. You're right. Let's get going. But before I forget, this came for you today. It looked kind of old, so I thought it was important. Carol grabbed the old-looking mail. Carol handed the old-looking mail to her husband before she grabbed her light dress jacket. Douglas took the letter and examined the envelope. When he flipped it over, he read the postman's instructions to deliver this letter on July 30th. The mail must be behind, he thought, as he ripped open the letter. Dear sweet boy, this is your grandpa, Douglas. Yes, we have the same name, but this is besides the fact. On August 1st, you should have some boats ready at the boatyard. I know this sounds crazy, but at the moment of your raid of the boatyard, it will be important. Tell your dad that it will help. He will listen. Your grandpa, Douglas Jerrod. What the hell? My grandfather? My grandfather is dead. He died before I was born. Douglas thought after he read the letter. He flipped the envelope back over and checked the postmark. 12/31/64. That is 2 days before my grandfather's death. Are you ready, Dee? Yes, I have something to tell my dad now. Douglas replied before Carol and he left the house. He followed her out after he shut off the lights and locked the door. They then walked to the Diablo in the driveway as he put the letter into his jacket pocket. When they reached the elaborate vehicle, they both got in, Douglas on the driver's side and Carol on the passenger's. Did that letter have something strange in it? Not really, just something I have to talk to Dad about. Douglas started the V8 engine and put the car in reverse. He looked around himself to make sure that it was clear to back out. After it was clear to pull out, he backed into the street. He then put it into drive and started down the road to the big shindig. Who was the letter from, if you don't mind me asking? I'm just curious because there wasn't a return address on it. Just from a member of my family tree I have never met. I really don't want to talk about it. Fine. How was work? It was alright. There's a lot of research and reviewing tape. You know, a cop's life is not always excitement. Douglas answered Carol's work-related question while they pulled up in front of his father's, Fred's building. He pulled quickly into a recently vacant parking spot right up front. He put the car into park, looked to make sure it was safe to get out, and then he hopped out of the car and around to the passenger door. In a gentlemanlike fashion, he opened his wife's door before she exited the vehicle. Before he followed his wife into the building, he put enough change into the parking meter for 2 hours. We have paid for 2 hours of parking. If we are here for longer than that, remind me, and I will put more time on the clock. All right, I will try to remember that, Carol replied to Douglas's request as they both entered the elevator. She reached out and pushed the elevator button for floor number 4. While they traveled up in the elevator for 2, Douglas started to feel the strange sense start to overwhelm his body and mind. He hunched over and grabbed his head. "Dee, you okay? Do I need to call the doctor?" "No, I can handle this. I am the one in control. I'm in control." Douglas stood back up as the strange sense subsided. It receded, but was not fully gone. Like an itch that he just couldn't reach. He then looked around the elevator with a confused look on his face. "What are we doing here?" "We are at your father's building. You know, it is his birthday, remember?" "Yeah, you're right. My dad's birthday. I remember." Douglas willfully agreed with Carol so not to alarm her of his vacant memory. As the elevator opened, he looked down the hall while they exited the elevator car. When they reached his father's apartment, he couldn't help but feel that he had lived here. The same building, the same apartment, it was all the same. "Are you sure that the old man lives here?" "Yes, silly. He has lived here since we moved out 3 years ago." "So we did used to live here?" "That was a very long time ago, before you got your detective badge and that raise in pay with the magical bonus." Carol put everything into perspective for Douglas while she knocked on the door. She curiously turned to him and wondered willfully about his mental well-being. Right before she questioned again about his state of mind, Fred opened the door. Fred then motioned them in after he seen who it was calling at the door. "Son, you are here to see your old man become a year older?" Douglas stood at the door dumbfounded in the doorway as his father embraced him. "It's a miracle. My father is up and walking around. I guess the physical therapy has paid off," he thought, since the last time he could remember his dad was in a wheelchair. "Looks like you have a birthday present to show everyone." "What are you talking about? You're up walking around without any help. It just has been a while since I have seen you up out of your chair. I know I sit a lot at the station, but I don't understand that walking around part." Fred looked at his son with a confused look on his face. Has the bullet in his head slipped? I have never needed help to walk before, he quickly thought as he led the two into his apartment. Now the party really can start. My son and daughter are here, Fred announced to everyone that was in his apartment already. while he closed the door. He led Douglas and Carol to the cake that was already divided up and put on plates. When they reached the concessions table, he offered them each a piece. They both took up a plate with a piece and began to eat. Good, huh? Only the best for my 51st birthday. Oh, Dee, didn't you have something to show your dad? I do. The letter you got today. You know, the one in your pocket? Douglas slowly reached into his jacket pocket while he wondered what Carol spoke of. He felt a folded up paper in his pocket. He then pulled it out as he pondered how and where did this letter come from. He looked at the letter in amazement after he pulled it all the way out. Is this it? Yes, babe. You put it there before we came to the party. Are you sure you're feeling okay? Yeah, I remember now. Douglas played along as he handed the letter to his father. Fred took the piece of paper from him and proceeded to read it. He waited for his dad's reaction to the words to see if it was a good message or not. After reading all the way through the letter, Fred folded the paper back up and handed it back to him. I got one of these letters from the dead years ago. I thought that it was strange until the information helped me. Douglas intently listened to Fred while he put the folded paper back into his jacket pocket. As his father talked about science and philosophy, he couldn't help but feel a strange feeling of being out of place. The strange letter and his father never being in a wheelchair. What's next? Me being a millionaire? In short, if your grandfather sent you a letter warning about events that will take place tomorrow, then I will follow the instructions that he has given. At the end of Fred's conclusion, the strange itch in Douglas's mind subsided. As the foggy haze lifted off of him, he started to remember the letter, his dad's birthday, and his life in this time. While he proceeded the little information he while he processed the little information he retained from his father's little speech, he began to wonder how he got inside the apartment from the elevator. After all, that was the last thing he could remember clearly, getting into the elevator. Happy 51st, old man, Douglas hollered out to cover his absent-minded behavior. He gave his dad a huge hug as he embraced his father tightly. After a few seconds of male bonding, Fred pulled away from him. Fred looked at him with a dumbfounded, "Are you all right, son?" How about it? Douglas Jerrod is acting strange. And that has been Chapter 11 of Douglas Jerrod. Remember, go to Douglas Jerrod and SamsonPWillings.com for more information. And if you want to catch all the other videos, go to FJ Invisible's channel on YouTube.com. Thank you, and good day.